Hello, and welcome to my Math Companion. In this video, we'll be exploring simultaneous equations, or in other words, equations with two or more variables. So let's begin. Samantha is making apple juice at home. She knows that she requires 3 times as many grams of apple as sugar. She also knows that the sum of the amount of sugar and apples used in the juice must be 400 grams. If S is the mass in grams of sugar used and A is the mass in grams of apples used, find the values of S and A. So in this problem, we are given quite a bit of information, but no information is given to us directly. That is, there's no value that is stated to us directly without a variable being involved in it. Firstly, the equation states that she requires 3 times as many grams of apple as sugar. So we can represent this in an equation form using ratios. We know that for each gram of sugar, she requires 3 grams of apple. Therefore, we can find out the number of grams of apple required for S grams of sugar. So 1 upon 3 is equal to S upon A. And cross multiplying, we get A is equal to 3S. So therefore, this becomes our first equation. Next, the question states that the sum of the amount of sugar and apples used in the juice must be 400 grams. So the sum of this amount of sugar and apples can be represented by S plus A, and on the right hand side we get 400. So that's our second equation. S plus A is equal to 400. So now we have two equations and two variables. In any algebra problem that involves equations, you must know that for a certain number of variables, you need at least that many equations. So for example, if you have 3 variables, you would need at least 3 equations to find the values of all 3 variables. Coming back to our question, we need to somehow find a way to solve at least one of these equations, which will then lead to the solution for the second one. In equation 1, we see that A is given as 3 times S. Since we know that A is equal to 3 times S, we can substitute the value of A in terms of S in equation 2. So, what we can do is, we can take this value of A and put it in this equation as 3 times S. Therefore, we get our second equation restated as S plus 3 times S is equal to 400. And now this can be easily simplified since we have a one variable equation. We simplify to 4S equal to 400, and since we want the coefficient of S to be 1, we can divide on both sides and get S is equal to 100. So now we know the value of S, and we need to find the value of A. If you remember, we had previously established A to be 3 times S. And therefore, since we know the value of S, we can substitute the value of S into this equation. So therefore, we can say that A is equal to 3 times 100, which is the value of S, and 3 times 100 is equal to 300. Therefore, we can say that A is 300. So, answering the question, the number of grams of sugar used was 100 grams, and the number of grams of apples used was 300 grams.